Hello, welcome to the Mandela Effect Equals Knowledge. My name is DuFay. I'm going to talk a little bit about editors and why we see variations and differences in like TV shows and movies and things like that. I'm going to use Star Trek The Next Generation as an example because that's a show where I was seeing the episodes hundreds of times, especially in the reality where this portion of my soul originated from. I want to start off first with this, space, this Starship Enterprise. Now, I remember it in the reality where this portion of my soul originated from. The Enterprise was all silver and gray. And here in this reality, we can clearly see it is like totally green. In fact, what amazes me about this is I remember thinking when I was watching it and seeing the introduction or the starship during the episode and whatnot, it being, of course, silver and gray entirely. I was thinking, wow, they should have had some color to it, instead of this bland silver and gray. And here to come to find out, these other realities, it's actually green. Just like I thought, I always thought, man, it'd be pretty cool if it was green. And here it is, as green as can be. I mean, look at that. Everywhere. I mean, let's play this. We can actually play this. And this is the introduction. You can see how green it is. Isn't that incredible? I mean, if you're familiar with the show, no doubt you agree with me, because you recall seeing it that way too as well. See, here it is again. And it just amazes me every time I see it how green it is. Again, the thing that really got me is how I used to actually think it would be kind of cool if it was green. In this particular one, I'm not, as many of you know, I don't always, take the look over things that are different and or what we perceive as changes. I mean, it piqued my interest early on. It helped me realize things were going on, but I wanted to find out why this was happening and what the heck's going on. I wanted to get into the meat and potatoes of it. So I don't pay too much attention to these details. However, I do recall so many things that helps me to realize, like for example, this is Ensign Rowe, the episode. Let's go over this part and see if any of you remember this. This is when they were down on the planet and they were
simply because of one terrorist attack. Perhaps I should have known that. We should have attacked the Federation long ago. What do you think of that, bro?
I think you're a small man who feels a rush of power in his belly and enjoys it far too much, Keith. Stop talking and listen.
We've had our problems with the cadet.
Okay, now, how many of you remember her saying, here she says, you need to shut up and stop talking, or you need to be quiet and start talking. I actually remember her saying, you need to shut up, and that actually shocked me quite a bit because I thought that was pretty stern. But again, listen carefully. She actually says, you need to be quiet.
Simply because of one terrorist attack? Perhaps I should have known that. We should have attacked the Federation long ago. What do you think of that, bro?
I think you're a small man who feels a rush of power in his belly and enjoys it far too much, Keith. Stop talking and listen.
We've had our problems with the cadet.
She actually says stop talking and listen. I remember in some realities, even in these Orion Dwarf Earth realities, I recall her saying be quiet or things like that. But I totally remember in the reality where this portion of my soul originated from that she said shut up. So there are little nuances and variations and differences in practically every episode, and I noticed them. But it's, we come to the point where we actually have come to expect these variations and differences. Now, why does it happen, How does it happen? Now, in my opinion, they did the same takes in every single reality. As far as, who knows how many times they had to, how many takes they did on this scene. In some of them she might have said shut up, and some of them she might have said be quiet, and here in this one she says stop talking. So they probably tried each, in variation in each take, and chose, this particular one in this particular reality. And of course who's in charge of that is the editors. So why would the editing be affected in each reality? And that makes a lot of sense if you think about it, because it's editors, they have so many choices to make and so many people involved in it. In fact, sometimes there's more than one editor in a show or movie. So there's, the more editors involved, the more people involved, and the more choices they have to make, the more there's bound to be variations and differences from reality to reality. So we've come to expect that. Again, what are we learning from this? The one thing I get out of it is I always look at the universal, the parallel universe theory. There's a lot to that. There's a lot of math that proves that that's possible. And of course, the Mandela effect's revealing that it is to some extent. Now, in the parallel universe theory, it's determined that every possible decision we can make is made. But that's not the case in my own personal reality. Every decision I've made in every single reality. Now, why is that? I don't have very many choices I have to make, but what choices I did have to make, I made in every single reality identical. So that makes that parallel universal theory wrong, but it is correct when it comes to editors. So that's where the math comes out. And of course, another thing bad about the parallel universe theory that I don't like is of course every reality is parallel, but each reality should not be considered a universe, because obviously we're within the same one universe, and we're in the same one Milky Way galaxy. Of course, the galaxies are parallel; everything's parallel, but the fact is most of us, every decision we made in every single reality. I know that's the case with me. I know my case isn't typical either. Some people experience differences and variations in their realities, but of course, editors are going to, there's bound to be many variations and differences in their realities. That's why we see the variations and differences in movies. And it's not that the script was different per se, or the part of the movie was different. It's just that every reality, they no doubt made the multiple takes and the same amount of takes in each scene and whatnot. But it comes down to the editor, what's chosen to remain or what's chosen to be taken out. And in some cases, in so many movies and TV shows and things like that, they do, cut out some parts, in this reality, and kept it in others. So it comes down to the editors. So those who have occupations with more choices to make, decisions to make from multiple choices, there's bound to be variations and differences. And also that's why we see them in the logos. The designers and whatnot are, they all, every designer in every single reality is still working on the same logo, multiple logo choices until they come down to the final decision. Every reality, they make the same amount of choices and the same look on the logo, but it's, they'll pick one design in one reality and pick another design in another. But the fact is the designer made every possible choice on his drafting table, their drafting table. But it comes down to it's always about the decision makers, whoever decides on what logo to pick. And then, of course, the more people involved, the more variations and differences there's going to be. And when they finally make their final decision, it could be different from another reality. But it's still, it's still the same company and whatnot, things like that. So that's what's really interesting, and we can learn a lot from that by understanding, same with the color choice of, say, the Starship Enterprise. There's always so many people involved in the colors, and I see that in almost every aspect of life, that the colors are. It's well, for example, like if somebody paints the outside of their house, and they spend a great deal of time choosing a color, and they go over every color palette, and just just take forever to finally pick a color. It's those people that are going to have different colors on their house and all the different realities, because they couldn't really, they took way too long to come up with a decision on a color. Whereas if someone, like, for example, me, if I choose a color on a house I living at, I limit my, you know, possible choices very much. I already have in mind what I want to get, and I make a very conscious effort to get that color, and I get it, and I don't spend too much time on it. And I guarantee that color is exactly the same in every single reality because of that reason. But the more, obviously, with the color choices in the series Star Trek: The Next Generation, that person, you know, toiled quite a bit. From what I understand, Gene Roddenberry was pretty difficult to work with, so no doubt there was always people interfering with the color choices. And not only I see that on the Starship Enterprise, but I see it on the carpet inside the ship, and the rooms and quarters and 10 forward, and the engineering and places, like all the different, yes, you could look and see that the colors of the walls and floors and ceilings and everything are different in every reality. But it's still the same starship, it's still the same, you know, series, it's still the same actors and whatnot. But it always comes down to the editing. That's why there's the variations and differences. So, that's what we shouldn't be surprised when we see them. We should come to expect it, and we can actually understand why they're actually different in each reality. We know why it is, and that's what's so incredible about the Mandela effect, is it's allowing us to delve into these things and get a better understanding of why we humans do the things we do. So with that, I thank you for watching, and we'll talk at you later. Love you.